Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Heart Channel. What is HEART? Well, HEART stands for Haunted Explorations and Research Team. We are a team of 6 members. The following would be myself, Jess Proctor. Hello, nice to meet you. My husband, Garth Proctor. My mother, Crystal Buchholz. My father, Randy Buchholz. My cousin, like a sister to me, Vicky Clark. My brother Alex Youngquist, and my sister Katie Buchholz. We are a family. Not just a team, we are family. We have a new logo that I've been revamping. As you can see, I'm kind of wearing it right now. That actually has the heart in the center of a Celtic knot, which the Celtic knot stands for kin. Also have this lovely tattoo of it. I mean, without the heart, right? It's got the circle in the center. Anyways, okay, so straight to the point of why I'm doing this video. Well, a lot of people ask these questions quite often. And the question is, what got you into the paranormal field? What made you want to become a paranormal investigator? The first real encounter of dealing with something that I did not know how to deal with, that absolutely terrified me, was when I was 7 years old. I was hearing whispering come from my closet. I lived in Des Moines at the time in a 2-story home where an old man who had cancer passed away in my brother's bedroom. We were not aware of this as children. One night I hear that whispering. I wanted to go to my parents' bedroom, but I knew if I got the wrong side of the bed, I'd get screamed and yelled at. So, rather than dealing with that or gambling, I went to the living room with my blanket, downstairs to the living room, and I covered myself to go to sleep. But then I heard what sounded like heavy footfalls coming down the wooden staircase. As soon as I heard the last step hit the carpet, I uncovered myself to see who it was in the archway. I saw a man who looked like he could have been 6'2", staring blankly at the wall, and then he turned and looked at me as if to acknowledge that he knows I see him. That night I cried myself to sleep. I remember being woken the next morning and getting chewed out for having been on the couch rather than in my bedroom. It's a very long story of the type of things that I endured in my childhood. My mother, she's a great person. She's a very good human being. And if you're fortunate enough to meet her, you'll see exactly what so many see. She's a good person at heart, and I like to follow her path. We have heart. In my teen years, I experienced dark entities just because a certain somebody had their own fascination, got with someone who was haunted by what they considered a demonic entity. Do I believe in demons? Yes and no. I believe in our own inner demons. I believe there are good spirits and bad spirits, no different than a good person and a bad person. Do I believe every single encounter where you get scratched, burned, or even growled at is a demon? God, no. Absolutely not. And I've had many of those experiences myself. I have been scratched. I've been burned. I've got bruises many times that couldn't account for. I even watched scratches develop on me in my own shower. At a young age, I started having dreams about this man who I can only correlate or compare to other people who experience this phenomenon as the Hat Man. Mind you, I dreamt of him. I never physically saw him with my own eyes. I decided to give him a name, and I named him Jack. When I was 11 years old, I dealt with some very traumatic things in my life. Jack always seemed to appear to me during those traumatic moments. My sister, Katie, saw him physically with her own eyes in my brother's bedroom when we were 13. I had a fascination at that time frame. I was curious. I wanted to understand, why is it she physically saw something that I dreamt about? I decided to confide in her my story. And then we really got on the topic about what the paranormal was, and we even did silly videos as children running around, and we'd talk about how we wanted to go on road trips someday. We want to go on road trips together and go to haunted locations and experience it for ourselves. We wanted to experience that, even though my whole life, from childhood into adulthood, I had my very own experiences right at home. I left my parents to be with my husband and start our lives together. I do want to add that after my daughter was born, at 3 years old, she too saw the Hat Man in September on my husband's grandfather's farm. And she said, "Mommy, look at that man." And she points to the trees, and I look over and I'm like, "What man?" She goes, "Mommy, there's a man there." I don't see it. And I go, "Really? Well, what does he look like?" And she said, "He's got a hat." "Oh, he's gone." And then that was it. And I thought to myself in that moment, did my daughter, my own daughter, seriously see something that I could not? Did she witness the Hat Man? Why did she witness the Hat Man? I've had a lot of stressful moments in my life, a lot. And every time I would have these stressful moments, I would notice things begin to manifest, amp up, activity left and right. I could literally walk into a building and look at my husband and be like, "This house is haunted." And he goes, "You think so?" And I said, "I can feel it. I know it is." But I never had an explanation to why I felt that. In fact, most of the time, I recoiled away from the paranormal. I was terrified of it. I didn't want nothing to do with it. I want to let you know, as of right now, I did not choose to follow in anyone's footsteps. I am doing what I do now of my own choosing, for my own validity, for my own sanity, and because I have a passion and love for what I do. I love doing the research. I love obtaining knowledge that normally people don't delve into. I love connecting the dots of the different types of religions that are out there. I really love experiencing all sorts of unknown, unexplainable types of phenomena, whereas before I was terrified. I started having a lot of experiences here in my house as of today, this house. And everyone in my household has experienced this very same entity. Sometimes she has appeared as a child, sometimes she appears as a full-grown woman, sometimes she appears as an elderly woman, almost like a crone. I've given her a name, only because I've dreamt of her time and time again. And her name is Ashley. Ashley came to me the very first nightmare I had. She was in a cistern and it broke open, and she crawled out of the cistern, and it was like the cistern was under my house. Now there is no cistern underneath, however we do just east of the house have a cistern. She noticed that I saw her. I was the only one that saw her. And it was like a family event, maybe a kid's birthday, but my family was here. My mother, my father, my brother, his fiance, my husband, my children. This happened 4 years ago when I started dreaming about her. She came out of the cistern And then, because I was the one to see her, she latched onto me. She grabbed me with a force so strong that I could not resist, pulled me all the way to my bedroom and clawed my chest open. And I screamed out for help, and finally my husband and my mother come in, and they try pulling me away from this invisible force. She let go of her grip, but I knew she made her mark on me. It was about 8 years ago that I got so sick and tired of like dealing with different things in the house, hearing the voices, having things move on me that I could not explain, seeing these shadows throughout the house. I saw a mass of what looked, well, it wasn't a mass. I thought it was my dog. Turned out my dog was in her kennel. And I saw this arm just kind of reach around our island in the kitchen. After that, I sat down and I questioned everything. I said, I needed guidance. What do I do with my life? You know, I don't know what to do. I feel like I have this purpose, but what is it? What is my purpose? And then it came to me to communicate with the dead. It was as simple as that. That's your purpose, to communicate with the dead, the living and the dead. I've always been good about listening to others, allowing them to confide in me. However, time and time again in my life, I know what it's like to have that trust betrayed in response. So I definitely have my select few as of today that I fully put my trust in. Because people can be cruel. Even in life, so and in death. As is above, so is below. To communicate with the dead. So, I discussed this with my mother, and she agreed, yeah, maybe we should dip into it. Let's just dip our toes in, see what happens. Our very first time testing our gear out, we had such crazy experiences that my mom from then on was hooked. Like, she needed to be a part of this. So we started collecting more gear. We built our team up. We've been doing it for 8 years now. We've done private investigations. And our very first haunted location that we went to, that was a notorious haunted location, well known throughout the United States, was of course the Villisca Axe Murder House. Yes, we got really good evidence the first time we was there and the second time. In that time frame, I didn't know how to do much for editing or managing, compiling my evidence and moving it over. Files were just clunky and massive, and my computer couldn't take it, and then it crashed and I lost all of it. So we decided to go there a third time. Well, even with the third time, we definitely got some very fascinating responses. Can I consider that? Do I consider that paranormal evidence? No. I want to make this very clear. Most of the video footage you see on our channel, until I say further, it's content. It's our experiences. It's not paranormal evidence. Paranormal evidence, when you get paranormal evidence, it's without a shred of doubt, you know you got something that you tried debunking and you cannot explain as part of the norm. Like a knock. Okay, where did that knock come from? How did it happen? Oh, it was birds in a roof. Okay. Or scratching. Then you find some mouse dropping somewhere. I mean, you would debunk those and say, okay, it was probably mice. It was probably a rodent. I can't say that that is actual evidence. Now, if you have something physically moving on camera without the smokes and mirrors effect, without switching up the frames, raw footage of something physically moving in view, beyond explanation, okay, that's evidence. You get a voice, a very audible voice, distinct, clear, Class A EVPs that you cannot explain away or debunk. Oh, it was Tim over here. He just coughed. Oh, well, God dang it, Tim. That's not evidence. Well, then you got Tim and Joe, and all of a sudden nobody's with Tim, Joe, and a woman's voice comes through. You can't explain how that woman's voice got there. Well, you got evidence. There's a difference between evidence, experiences, and content as far as the paranormal goes today. I consider what we compile and we post up for people to watch more so our paranormal experiences, content for you. I'll let you know when I know for sure without a shred of doubt that I got paranormal evidence. That I can say without somebody trying to debunk or telling me that it's fake, I got paranormal evidence. As I said, I've been doing this for 8 years. Now I have a software to do all the editing that I need to do to really start cutting things up and compile a story together for everyone to see. If there's one thing I'm good at, it's telling a story. Filming can't be much different. You're trying to tell a story within that filming, right? My skill set is writing. I love to write. I have so much poetry. And I have everyone getting on me as of late. You need to write your book. I know what my book is going to be about for sure, without a doubt in my mind. And I will get that written in time. But it's still being written as we speak. My story still is not completely told. I have a story to tell. And I'm going to say right now, no matter how hard people may try, my story will always have a stamp in time. My experience, my presence cannot be erased. They are there, and they are very real. So yeah, eventually I'll have that book written. In the meantime, as I share with you my paranormal story, I'm going to put pieces together and even a small snippet of a little bit of investigating in the house. I do have some other videos on here of like experiences within my house, but I want to show you something. This is what I call static art. This is one of my pieces. I've had many nightmares about her. Her name always come to me. Ash, 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 Ashley, Ashley, Ash. Maybe a couple times there was an Amanda in there. There's always an A name, but mostly Ash. Ashley. That's what I call her. That is her name. She has shown herself to my family. She has scared my children. She's even scared my husband. Who is Ashley? What does she want? Why is she appearing to me in my dreams all the time? You want to know what got me into this field? It's those questions that got me into this field. To communicate, to find answers. As fun as it all is, even though you may get some answers, in most cases, at most locations, even here, I'm always left with more questions. Always. And I'll always have more questions. It doesn't end. My research does not end. I am about exploring the unknown. I am about walking into the dark, willing, alone, to find out who and why. And what happens when we leave this world? What becomes of us? Do we become like them? Anyways, After this nice little spew of conversing, I'm going to take snidbits of it and I'm going to compile it with a fun little video that got done in this house. I hope you guys enjoyed this and got some better understanding as to who I am and what our team is truly doing, seeking, why we do it. I hope that answers that for you. And I hope you enjoy what we provide. I'm not perfect by any means, but I am trying and I am learning. So, without further ado, ta-ta for now. Bye!